Hello all and welcome back to Nostalgia Sundays with me, the Walrus. Today we're having a look at a real-time strategy from many years past, Kohan, Ahriman's Gift. Now this one had a recent update on Steam in that it is now completely functional on Windows 11 machines without having to use the Voodoo wrapper, which is something that I have had to use for a number of different games. So, I'm going to have a go and play a campaign. So, let's select myself, and we've got Ahriman's Gift, the Quest for Darius, and the Enemy Within. So, I'm going to give a go for the Quest for Darius, which I know is not the main campaign currently through, but this is a good way of starting off showing exactly what on earth we're doing. We've got these lovely cutscenes. So, let us begin. Of course, we've kept that a little bit quiet there. So, the Kohan, which is this is Ilyana, Aswan, are Kohan. Now, Kohan are a sort of deity within the series of the game. When they get killed, they re-emerge into an amulet, which can be, where their body can be reconstituted from this amulet, their soul presence. The thing is, though, they don't remember a lot of what was linked previously. So some of them are almost linked in the way of that they will always try to find one another. And the game itself is split into four main factions. You have the Seer, who are essentially undead. You have the Council, the Nationalists, and the Royalists, who are all factions of humanity, or essentially the Martin.
Our resources, such as they are at your command. In addition, we've mustered 2 companies of militia to follow you where you will.
So I'm just going to quickly skip past that bit there. So yeah, so these guys are Royalist Martin. And the humans they're like one of the main factions you play as. Currently, I'm playing as the sort of allied, one of the smaller, neutral sort of like villages. So you have these things called the Harun, which are these like essentially elves. You have there's a race of berserkers, and essentially a race of, I mean, they're big, aggressive looking, big chunky things. And then there's essentially like a race of dwarf, which I think are called the Gowrie. And I think the berserkers are like the Droga or something? Draugr? Not Droga, because that's Skyrim. Now, each of these settlements can hold a number of different buildings. Now, I'm going to quickly upgrade some of these buildings, because each of them have different benefits and bonuses. So, we can upgrade the Royalist City here, and what they do is they expand the amount of building space you have within them. The neutral sub-factions, such as the Harun and the Draugr and others, don't have the ability to expand their settlements, but instead they give you access to very unique units, like these elves riding. It's very Studio Ghibli with these guys, but they are essentially a unit of cavalry archers. They're faster than like a lot of the human archers, but they tend to be a little bit weaker. So they hit harder, they move faster, but they tend to be a bit more easy to squish. And Kohan is a really interesting game series from my recollection, and I very much loved the game through and through, because it is fiercely challenging. Now, bear in mind, I have the game set on easy mode. That is not by any means a deliberate saying that I'm terrible at the game. Genuinely, this game is challenging. Now, units themselves, they have a morale factor, which is this blue bar here, and units will flee from combat, so like these guys are fleeing here, and they have like individual units will have sergeants, who essentially are the leaders of that squad, the captain for these guys. And the captains, they are very important, because without them, well, your troops will flee.
Yes, my lord.
And that's not great. Now, the Kohan replace the captain in the squad and tend to have other beneficial effects. So, for example, in the current awakened state, she gives an increase of the zone of control. So I turn off the zone of supply. Zone of control. So you can see this unit has a slightly larger zone of control. Admittedly, the forests do affect it. And if it's a unit enters its zone of control, it is now engaged in combat. And that's just how it goes. Ilyana also later on unlocks an ability called Pathfinding, which means that her unit can move through any terrain with no penalty, which is absolutely amazing. Now, at the moment, you can see I've got a little bit of a money problem. I need money, and I'm running out of it. So I'm going to try and build some buildings in my Royalist building here, Royalist City, to try and get a bit more in the way of units that I can, well, money. Because if you have a deficit, you can see that you start losing money. You have a unit cap, which is the current maximum company, so I've got 4 out of the 6 I can control. The more cities and settlements you control, the more you can have. Now, wood mills, shocking enough, they produce wood, so we're going to get a wood mill. So this is kind of how the very basics. There are 4 main resources. You have stone, wood, and iron. They're your kind of basic. Then you have caldonite, which is allows for mana production. And mana production comes from things like the libraries, temples, all sorts of weird. There are also individual buildings like these ironwood groves. If you put a mine on it, like we have here, or we have an iron mine, they actually give you a constant steady stream. They cost money to build, but they don't cost money to upkeep, which is very useful. So we've got a decent amount of stuff in this here. We need more stone because we're still losing money. Stone is essentially worth 1 for each. Wood is worth 2. Iron is worth 3, and I think mana is worth 4. So if you have a deficit of mana, you are really in trouble. Now, you also have the way that you can train units. Whoops-a-daisy. Let's not zoom off that way. You can create the unit by customizing what you want together as part of this. You can slap them together. So, for example, I might want some light meat. So, you've got your heavy cavalry, your medium cavalry, light cavalry. Now, not every one of the human factions has access to the same units. And the Seer have their own collection of things that they have. So they have, like, the skeletons, the zombies, and that sort of thing. So, for example, I'll let that fight go on over there. So you've got your spearmen, you've got your infantry, and then you've got your grenadiers. And you can see that they all do have different benefits and costs. So, for example, grenadiers are slower compared to the other 2, but they hit the hardest and they have the most health. So there's trade-offs for each of them. Cavalry, again, they tend to move faster, but they tend to cost more in upkeep. The Lance is an interesting one because that's a Royalist-only unit, and they're pretty interesting because they do a decent amount of damage and they have a decent amount of speed. So they're quite good for a fast hit-and-run unit. Now, I'm just going to quickly try and get more troops into combat over here because this is getting a little bit hairy. There's a Seer town to destroy. We have a quick look at our objectives. We need to raise the Seer settlement here and burn it to the ground. And that's going to be what we do here. Now, we can also speed up the game slightly, so I am going to do that. I'm going to move up to 200% speed, just because that's the sort of speed that I'm comfortable with playing the game at. Again, though, our troops are fleeing because as they take fights, as they take casualties as well, that reduces their leadership even more. And, yeah, that's not great. So we're just going to retreat slightly with our troop units, get them back, be fully resupplied. So they fall back to a zone of supply, essentially. So that's the most important bit here. Now, I'm going to do some upgrades. So I'm going to mining post will give us more stone. Masonry guild does self-repair to the unit building, and then stone export sells, so you get money out of it. We need more stone, so we're going to do that. Now, you can only upgrade 1 building at a time, but you can train multiple units at a time. So one of the most useful units I find is, weirdly, an engineer unit. So these guys go out and they build stuff, shockingly enough. But what they do is that they give a really nice benefit in that they allow you to, for example, they could build over this resource supply, and then I'd have more wood, which is very, very helpful. Oh, goodness. And now we've got bees. Now, here's the other problem. The wildlife is actually really dangerous. Because, unfortunately, a lot of the wildlife is moving them into a combat role, so they get more attack efficiency but slower as a whole. One of the big problems you have with them is that they have these neutral dwellings that they come out of. And unfortunately, they spread and grow. So if you don't kill them off, they will just keep coming and they will spread. So if you are... I'm going to run away. Run! If you don't deal with them quickly, you can end up with so many of them on the map that it actually causes you to have to really throw a big military presence in to deal with them. And that is just so frustrating. So my troops are attacking this Seer city. Seer town even. Once we take it down, we'll remove the walls. Once a city has less walls, it's more likely to surrender. So that's really important for me here. Now, you know what? I might sell this wall here. So let's sell the wall. So that now means we're at a better place for that. Also, what that now means is I could potentially get a different resource building in here. So barracks is pretty good. Mana. Actually, maybe we could get a market. Let's do a market because we need more money coming in. So these guys can roll on that way.
By the glory of the
Yes,
Kohan.
my lord. Yes, my lord.
There we go. Now we're playing as Ilyana, who's been told that she needs to find Darius. Now Darius is the character who is in the main, like the first game in the series,
Yes, my lord.
and he is like the main character you play as. So we're kind of following some of the backstory of him, which is interesting. Now we're back up to a much better, more healthy balance of 52 G a turn. Now you can already see that the joys of cavalry archers, they're very quick. So this is a Caldonite deposit. That's a Caldonite field, sorry. That gives us mana just by the virtue of being there, which is really helpful. Yeah, so here's the bees. We need to kill the bees. I say bees, they're wasps, they're horrible. The thing is, we can click on them and get a little bit more information about the units, so we actually know what they're like. They've got 80 health, they're very, very fast. I think they're also trailblazing, so they just don't, they just completely ignore any terrain, because they fly, which is really interesting, really useful. And there are, of course, other bigger creatures, such as dragons, that turn up, and they are genuinely terrifying. If you find a dragon, you're going to have not so much fun dealing with them, I think is the nicest way of putting it. Because they are not fun to deal with.
Yes, my lord.
So, we're going to keep advancing forwards.
It shall be done.
Let's see what we can find. Okay, so we found some zombies and some skeletons. Now, units can also become garrisoned. Like, they can become fortified. So you can see they get a +6 to their defense. Because they haven't moved, they're very heavily defended, they're in a fortified position. So my troops are at a slight disadvantage. Because, of course, they have a much greater defense. Which is very important for things like zombies, who have a terrible defense stat anyway. These basic skeletons, they've got a defense of 8, so the other ones have 14. Hard to chop through. Now, I'm going to flee with my troops and allow the cavalry archers to try and pick off as many as possible. And, well, it's sort of working. I think we also need to flee. Run away. Right, so this could end very poorly. So I've already lost a unit. I've lost the 4th Wind Riders, so I'm going to replace them. And by doing so, I will select a Wind Rider as a basic unit. Now I'm going to add a Ranger. Rangers are very useful because not only do they do a lot of damage, they also, and we can have 2 of them because it's fun, they also mean that the unit gets trailblazing, which means they can run through any terrain without penalty, which would be very, very helpful.
Your orders are received. At the ready.
Now here's our lovely engineers. I'm going to get them to go and build on this ironwood grove for more wood coming in. And I need to try and save up to get a royalist city here. That's going to be the big thing here. So number 2s. There we go.
Yes, my lord.
1s. There we go. There's our cavalry.
At the ready.
And as the troops gain back their units, that's really important. So we could also, in the same regard, we could train some more heavy hitters. So we could get some grenadiers. What I'd like is some of these priests, because the clerics are very useful, because they give, again, benefits. Now, such as the cleric giving pony attacks, so we do every single one of the guys in the unit will do 2 additional holy damage. Very, very useful. This guy does a greater benefit, but doesn't give them healing. Instead, is more offensive. So this guy gives a benefit healing as well as a little bit of a boost. Paladins give increase on their courage, so they retreat less. They have a Shadow Bane effect, so they again do much greater shadow damage. Rangers, as we mentioned earlier, they're really useful. You've got sorceresses who do ice damage, and she's just kind of interesting. She just does lots and lots of damage. And then you have the magician as well, who does fireballs and doing lots of other things. Apparently, it's quite great seeing a guy flinging fireballs around because they make everyone more brave near them. You've also got siege weapons like the Maelstrom engine, which is a very low defense, but very dangerous because it does a huge amount of damage against buildings. Very much so. Very, very dangerous. Right, so let's cancel that for a moment. We then have, for example, the Seer. These guys have got all these zombies, these shadelings and bone bows. So they do have some problems in that they are very vulnerable to holy damage, as you can see, and magic damage. But they do take less range damage by quite a significant degree. Also, they're generally very, very cheap. So, for example, a zombie's 3, a skeleton's 4, whereas a basic footman, they're 1, it's 8, and 5. Now, the footman is cheaper because I've got this upgrade here, the Carpentry Guild, reducing the cost of them, so they're normally 2. I think we will... Now, the billet is a good one for here, because that, again, gives me a decreased cost to my units. Got a garrison, giving my troops better stats, and supply post, increasing the supply range. So, could be useful to try and claim over this Caldanite field. We'll see. I'm going to build the watchtowers, though, because that would be a very sensible plan. And again, we're trying to wait for a moment, because we actually want to get some better upgrades. We want to upgrade this city, so we need 450 before we can have that. So we are losing money because we're running out of stone. Okay, here come their engineers. So you can see what I mean about the troops moving a bit faster because they've got the trailblazers. So they are unaffected by the hills, because hilly terrain, trees, everything slows them down. It is genuinely a thing. So what I will do, though, is I'm also going to have this ability. The engineers can also build outposts. And outposts are very useful because they give you the ability to extend your supply range. Again, very important, because without being in supply range, your troops can't resupply. But also, you need supply range to control these things. So without the supply, you can't control them. Engineers, that's what they do. They just build stuff. Now, engineers are kind of an interesting one as well, because like all frontline units, they can also be the support units. So in the baseline, they don't provide any of the benefits. They don't give them the recon, they don't give them rapid entrenching. Only if they're in support roles do they count as that support element. So that's something to be aware of. They're expensive, but they do have some really nice benefits. So you can stand there, get healed. Okay.
In the name of the Creator.
So let's move forwards. Our troops are fully healed. And I'm going to move the engineers up. Again, I want to build that, but I'm waiting for the money to upgrade the town. Again, we've got lots of these nasty things. Now, you'll notice that the Rangers use Caldanite weapons. So certain things that say that they are vulnerable to Caldanite, like these shades, they're vulnerable to Caldanite. They're also vulnerable to magic and holy damage. Oh my goodness, my troops are getting their bums handed to them, aren't they? It's this increased defense they've got. It makes them very, very difficult to shift. So we've broken the back of most of that selection of their army, which is good. Okay, here's some more beasties. So you're within range, that's fine. You're getting supplied. The troops are chopping through them. This guy's quite nasty because he does horrible things. You can see the effects that the units have on them. So you can see it's quite nasty how bad some of the spell effects can actually really mess your units up. I think my archers might be about to die there. Yeah, so we've lost a unit of infantry as well, unfortunately. Oh dear. That's not gone well. Right, well, let's see if we can get this upgraded, because I want to try and generate more money, and then we'll try and get some more heavy-hitting units in there. So, there we go. So that can now be built and upgraded. And again, this is the first mission, so I'm not saying that I'm going to try and breeze through this one. Okay, so we need... so we've got their engineers trying to come through, so we're just going to try and pick them off. Our archers. And it's 40G to build that mine. So we'll be able to do that shortly. Okay, cavalry, move forwards. Go on, Ileana.
In the name of the Creator.
Now, 58%, so it's still got a little way off before we're going to get that ruler city. When the settlements upgrade, then of course you can get more money coming in, which is very important. Okay, so they've got the cavalry already. I'm going to put them into the defensive post. Oh my goodness, this is going to get a little bit sketchy. So these guys are very, very aggressive, very nasty, but we are chopping through them because we've got the Caldanite shots that are coming in from our rangers. Okay, you're fleeing, that's fine. You've killed the settlement garrison, and as units kill, they actually get more and more elite. So they just, by existing and wandering around, they get more elite. But also, by actually killing things, they become more powerful and more veteran. As they become more veteran, they get significantly more scary. So let's retreat slightly here. Okay,
your
you
service,
are... Good, you are within supply. That's important. Right, so we've now got the full-size city. I'm going to build a market, because I need some more money coming in my way. And what we'll also do is, like we've done here, we're going to build another bank. Because, again, we need the cash. Now, I am going to raise this to the ground, eventually. But one of the big upgrades that I really want to have is a wood mill. Now, it sounds like a bit of a counterproductive. I know I need stone, but I want the wood mill. But that's because the carpentry guild, because it costs 50% component reduction in cost, which is phenomenally useful. We've got a problem. They're really pushing on us now. Okay, so we've lost the second unit of horse wind riders, which isn't great. Okay, so we've cut through them now, finally. We need to kill that last guy, because if he's alive, then the unit will survive, unfortunately. So, there he is. Kill him. There we go. You've got pin cushioned. Right, so let's try and retrain some new units. So we need some more Wind Riders, and I think it would be quite good to have a couple more of these guys, a couple of the Rangers again. So we're going to send them down here. Over here, we've built the Carpentry Guild, because then we can get the other buildings at a cheaper rate. Now, yes, okay, a quarry is only 20 normally, so 10. It's not horrendously expensive, but it is still important to know that you can save money. And I'm a cheapskate through and through. Now, I want to build a temple as well, because I want to try and get some more elite troops to be able to use against them. Again, the cavalry archers are doing their part, taking chunks out of the enemy. And the thing is, the longer I leave them, the more scary they're going to get. So I need to get my units here fast. Okay, so we've got number ones. Now, I've only got a couple of units, really, so we don't really have a huge force to hand. So we do need to be a little bit more careful, I think. I'm going to build another... I could build a workshop. That might work out slightly. Less money, but we'll have more production. But I think the bank for now. Again, each different building will have unique... each faction has unique advantages that not everyone has. So it is good to know and pay attention to. So Royalists are like very much industrial. They can build a lot of useful things. Right, so if I get the Eternal Path upgrade, which is the upgrade here, then I can really get much more powerful priests. And that'll be very useful. The trade-off is, of course, though, that your units become less effective in the fight on the front line because you have less frontline troops for them. But the augmentation and the other benefits that you give them kind of make it a bit better. So it is a swings and roundabouts. You've got to take the positives with the negatives, unfortunately, on this one. So here comes that upgrade, Eternal Path. And here we're going to build a mining post, again, to get a little bit more money coming in, because then we'll be having less of a deficit of stone production. Yes, I will raise this building to the ground, so that's how we win the mission. But at the same time, this is how we're just trying to level the start. So you can see these guys are now veteran, because they've got the white border. And she's now enlightened, so she's now providing Shadowbane, +2, so all shadow elements get damaged extra. She does trailblazing, so her unit just moves, so I don't need a ranger as part of the unit. The advantage of a ranger as well, though, is for somehow, as a person on foot, they can still run as fast as cavalry. Not quite sure how, but hey, it's useful all the same. Right, so let's move forwards. Our cavalry. Oh, they've got some cavalry as well. Ah. Okay, we just need to pull our thumb out and actually get involved. So I'm going to train some heavy hitter units. As this is not going as well as I'd hoped. Run. Run away. Oh dear, oh dear. So again, we're going to get another hard hitter unit. There we go.
Yes, my lord.
So these guys can move down here.
At the
In the name of the Creator.
And I think what I need is some more Haroon cavalry. So we're going to get some more of them. We'll have 2 of them. That'll be nice. We need 75G for that. So we are almost there.
At your service, my lord.
Perfect. On we go.
Your orders
So
are
we're going to move
received.
them down
In
there.
the
So
name
we've
of
got
the Creator.
3 units of cavalry.
At the
We've
ready.
got 2 units of the grenadiers, which is the harder hitting cavalry. Sorry, infantry even. But we've also got our slightly more elite as well.
What shall you have of me? It shall be
Oh my goodness, here they come. Now again, the Haroon cavalry, they don't have a huge amount of health, and they don't have a good armour, but they hit really blooming hard. So they are a bit of a pickle to deal with sometimes. So it's annoying that they've decided to get involved on that front as well. So in we go. Charge! Now, my grenadiers do a significant amount of damage to the shadow creatures. So 6 holy damage, but because they are very vulnerable to holy, taking 200% damage, increased damage. So we will do 18 holy damage with each hit. So this is a very, very dangerous thing for our foes here. As you can see, we are tearing through the shadow beasts. One of the Haroon. They don't have the greatest of bravery, I think is probably the best way of putting it for the Haroon.
Consider it done.
They're good, but they aren't
it shall be.
brave
What shall you have of me?
Lord.
to be as nice as I can
In the name
about
of
them.
the Creator.
Okay, so our archers again pinging off their units, killing those necromancers. So we're going to take out this city here, Dark Crossing. So I need to destroy this city here. So I'm going to tear it to the ground. So to do so, we just raise like this.
My lady, we've brought the foul.
So we've brought Setham onto the ground, but that now means that this is no longer within range. So what I will do actually is I'm going to give it a supply post. This should hopefully give us a better reach. And I'm going to send the engineers in to fight, because engineers are also actually pretty good against buildings. They're very good at destroying hostile settlements, which is very helpful. This militia expansion, there we go. Look at that nice zone of control. And I think it will fall soon, very much so. Okay, they've got some engineers coming out, but that's fine. Come on, engineers, get in there. Kick it to the ground. What we'll do is we'll keep it around until we're fully healed, and then once we're fully healed, then we'll burn it to the ground. There we go. So we've got Dark Crossing. So we do need to just raise it to the ground. That's not a problem.
In the name of the Creator.
Our cavalry are doing all right. I'm just going to repair it for a moment, because that's the other thing engineers can do. So they can repair buildings. They can keep things very much going. Now I find that with the fact that you can only get 20 units at maximum, you do have to balance what units you actually have and how well you can actually get them to work. And that's an important component of this. There we go. So let's quickly trim them down.
What shall you have?
Pow, 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 pow. And we'll just send our Wind Riders in,
Glory to Kohan.
finish them off, and we should be able to just finish them down. So they have a hostile, essentially a version of the Dark Paladin, who gives them just quite a nasty big bonus. Very dangerous.
What shall you have?
They're dead.
It
I'm
shall
going to
be
keep
done.
rolling through.
What shall you have of me? It shall
So
be
once
done.
we take over this Haroon settlement here,
It shall be
victory is ours, I think. Again, unfortunately, their militia are quite squidgy, but that's fine. Just tear right through them and send in the units.
done. What shall you have of me?
What I will do though is just double check and see if there's anything else with on the map, because there are certain bits of like extra technologies that you can get that are very, very important and hidden throughout the map. So it's very important, I would say, to explore thoroughly
It shall be done.
before the end of the mission. So we are going to here we go. So we found a Saya outpost here, so we're going to take that down. That's fine. We'll remove that from existence. Get that going. And we'll destroy their outpost. So here's some interesting things. So you get lots of different like odd locations on the map that can provide these benefits to you.
In the name of the
That might
It shall be
doesn't
done.
look like it's one, but it is.
Milady.
Oh, there we go.
we've
Yes, it
searched the
is.
ancient gravesite over yonder and have found drawings detailing
There we go.
advanced tactics that are sure to improve our...
I like the fact we got advanced tactics from ancient stuff. What it means is though we now have defensive tactics, which gets just a flat defense bonus, which if memory serves, yeah, because it doesn't affect all units, but it does affect. Oh no, it does affect all units. Sorry, I lied. Yeah, plus 2 DV against all enemies. That's very potent, because that means that all of our units are less vulnerable. So let's raise Dark Crossing, complete the mission, and then we will end the mission. So hopefully you've enjoyed. Maybe you'll try Kohan out and see if you enjoy it as well. It's definitely a game I've enjoyed, and it is challenging. So it is something I will say. I might just be because I'm not great at it, but it is a game that does genuinely challenge you and make you think. Because if you sit there and turtle, you're in a world of hurt. So hopefully I'll catch you all again next Sunday for the next Nostalgia Sundays. I've been the Walrus, and hopefully I'll catch you then.